Imagine stepping into eternity and finding yourself surrounded by radiant light, an overwhelming sense of peace, and the presence of divine love. But then a thought lingers. Will you recognize your family in heaven? Will you remember your loved ones, your shared moments, and the bonds that defined your life on earth? This question has echoed in the hearts of believers for centuries. Some say that in heaven, everything will be new and past relationships will fade. Others argue that love is eternal, and the connections we form on earth will continue in the afterlife. But what does the Bible say? What have saints and mystics revealed about this profound mystery? One of the most intriguing Padre Pio revelations touches on this very question. Padre Pio, known for his prophetic visions and encounters with souls from the afterlife, left behind clues about what awaits us in heaven. His divine insights and biblical wisdom may hold the answer to one of humanity's greatest uncertainties. In this video, we will uncover the truth about heaven, exploring what the Bible, theology, and the experiences of saints like Padre Pio reveal about family in heaven. Stay until the end. What you learn today may change the way you view eternity forever. The Bible provides glimpses into the truth about heaven, offering clues that suggest our identity and relationships will not be erased in eternity. While it doesn't explicitly state, "You will know your family in heaven," there are key passages that strongly imply it. One of the most powerful examples is the Transfiguration, Matthew 17 verses 1-3. When Jesus was transfigured, Moses and Elijah appeared and were instantly recognized by the disciples, even though they had lived centuries before. This suggests that our identity remains intact after death, and that recognition is possible in the afterlife. Another significant passage comes from 1 Corinthians 13 verse 12, where St. Paul states, "For now we see only a reflection as in a mirror, then we shall see face to face. Now I know in part, then I shall know fully, even as I am fully known." Paul's words imply that in heaven, our understanding will be greater, not diminished. If we are to know fully, that would include recognizing loved ones and experiencing relationships in a way even more profound than on earth. In Luke 16 verses 19-31, Jesus tells the parable of the rich man and Lazarus, where the rich man, after death, recognizes both Lazarus and Abraham. Even in the afterlife, personal identities and memories remain. The Bible does not describe heaven as a place where we lose our memories or connections. Instead, it presents a vision where love, unity, and spiritual awareness are expanded. But Scripture is only one part of the picture. What did the saints and mystics say about family in heaven? Let's explore their revelations next. Throughout history, many saints have shared divine revelations about the afterlife, offering profound insights into whether we will recognize our loved ones in heaven. Their visions and experiences provide reassuring evidence that relationships do not simply vanish beyond death. St. Augustine, one of the greatest theological minds in Christianity, believed that heaven is a continuation of God's divine order, and that our relationships, rather than disappearing, will be purified and perfected. He wrote, "In heaven, we shall not only know each other, but we shall also have a deeper love, free from all imperfection." Similarly, St. Thomas Aquinas, known as the angelic doctor, taught that our souls retain their personal identity after death. He argued that the intellect will be illuminated to a higher degree, meaning we will recognize one another more clearly than we ever did on earth. But beyond theological discourse, we have direct revelations from saints and mystics. Padre Pio's prophecy and personal experiences with souls from the afterlife are particularly compelling. He often spoke of visits from departed souls, recognizing them and understanding their spiritual state. One documented Padre Pio revelation describes an encounter where he saw a soul in purgatory who appeared to him asking for prayer. He immediately recognized the soul, proving that even after death, identity and memory remain intact. Another powerful account comes from St. Catherine of Siena, who had visions of heaven where she saw people embracing their loved ones, not as earthly beings, but as spiritually perfected versions of themselves. The consensus among saints is clear. Heaven is not a place of disconnection. Instead, it is where earthly relationships are transformed into something even greater, free from sin and imperfection. But if this is true, does that mean we will remember everything? Or will some memories be lost? Let's examine what happens to our memories in heaven next. A common fear among believers is whether we will lose our earthly memories in heaven. Will we remember our family? Will we recall the moments that shaped us? Or will everything be erased in the presence of God? According to biblical truth about heaven, our transformation in the afterlife does not mean we become empty, mindless beings. Instead, Scripture suggests that our awareness will be heightened, not diminished. In Revelation 21 verse 4, it states, "He will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain, for the old order of things has passed away." This does not mean that memories are erased, but rather that the pain and sorrow associated with them will be removed. The love, joy, and spiritual significance of our relationships will remain, but without the burdens of grief, guilt, or regret. Saints and mystics confirm this idea. Padre Pio prophecy and revelations about the afterlife suggest that souls remember their earthly experiences and recognize those they loved. If souls in purgatory return to ask for prayers, that means they still retain knowledge of their past lives. Saint Faustina, in her Visions of Heaven, describe how souls in heaven experience a perfected form of love, where they still remember those they cherished, but without any trace of pain or loss. Theologians like St. Thomas Aquinas explain that our intellect and knowledge will be elevated in heaven, meaning we will understand reality far more clearly than on earth. This includes recognizing our loved ones and remembering our lives, but from a divine perspective. So, will we know each other in heaven? The answer is yes, but not in the same way as on earth. Instead of imperfect, fleeting memories, we will have a deeper, eternal connection with those we loved. But how will love itself change in heaven? Will earthly family bonds still matter in the afterlife? Let's explore the connection between human love and divine love in heaven next. If relationships continue in heaven, the next question is, will love remain the same, or will it change into something beyond what we can imagine? The truth about heaven is that human love will not disappear. It will be elevated. Earthly relationships are often affected by sin, misunderstandings, and emotional wounds. In heaven, love will be perfected, free from selfishness and limitations. Jesus explained this transformation in Matthew 22, verse 30. At the resurrection, people will neither marry nor be given in marriage. They will be like the angels in heaven. This verse does not mean that marriage and family bonds will be erased, but rather that love will no longer be restricted by earthly structures. Instead of exclusive individual attachments, we will experience a complete unity with God and one another, a love far greater than anything we have ever known. Padre Pio revelations suggest that souls in heaven exist in complete harmony, recognizing and rejoicing in their connection with each other through God's divine love. In one of his visions, Padre Pio described how souls in heaven do not experience jealousy or possessiveness because they are completely fulfilled by the presence of God. In the afterlife, we will still recognize our loved ones, but our love for them will be transformed. Rather than an attachment bound by time, space, or need, it will be a pure divine love, unbreakable, eternal, and deeply connected to God's perfect will. This revelation offers hope and peace. We will not lose the ones we love. Instead, we will share a perfected union with them in a way beyond our imagination. While the idea of recognizing our loved ones in heaven is comforting, another difficult question arises. What happens if some of our family members or friends are not there? If heaven is a place of eternal joy, how can we be truly happy knowing that some of our loved ones may not have made it? This is one of the most difficult theological mysteries, the coexistence of divine justice and divine mercy. Many people fear the thought that someone they love might not be in heaven, yet Scripture and the writings of the saints offer insight into how God's eternal plan is perfect and why heaven remains a place of pure joy, free from sorrow. God's justice and mercy are beyond our understanding. The Bible repeatedly affirms that God desires all souls to be saved. 1 Timothy 2, verse 4. Padre Pio revelations remind us that prayers, sacrifices, and divine mercy can lead souls to salvation, even at the last moment of life. However, the gift of free will remains, and some may choose to reject God. Will we remember them in heaven? Will we grieve their absence? 2. In heaven, our understanding will be perfected. One of the greatest promises of heaven is that all sorrow will be erased. Revelation 21, verse 4. This doesn't mean that we will forget people, but rather that we will see God's justice and mercy in their fullest truth. The truth about heaven is that our perspective will be transformed. The saints teach that our minds will be fully enlightened, meaning that we will understand why some souls are absent without experiencing earthly grief or pain. Instead of sorrow, we will be filled with peace, knowing that God's judgment is perfect. 3. The power of intercessory prayer. One of Padre Pio's strongest teachings was that our prayers can help souls, even after death. His mystical experiences with souls in purgatory remind us that God's mercy extends beyond human understanding. Until our final moment on earth, we have the opportunity to pray for those we love, offer sacrifices, and trust in divine mercy. The reality of heaven should not lead us to despair about others, but should motivate us to intercede for their souls while we can. And so, while we will recognize and rejoice with those in heaven, we will also trust that God's plan is perfect, even for those who may not be there. We have explored one of the greatest mysteries of the afterlife. Will we know each other in heaven? Through biblical truth about heaven, the insights of saints, and PADRE Pio revelations, we see a clear and comforting answer. Yes, we will recognize our loved ones, but in a way that is far greater than we can currently understand. Our relationships will not be lost, but rather perfected and elevated beyond earthly limitations. We will not forget those we loved. Instead, we will experience a divine unity with them, free from sorrow and separation. Every moment of love and sacrifice we shared on earth will be transformed into eternal joy in the presence of God. Now, I'll leave you with a question. What do you believe? Do you think we will remember our families in heaven? Have you ever had a personal experience that made you reflect on the afterlife? Share your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear from you. If this message gave you hope and insight, subscribe, and share this video so that more people can discover the truth about life after death Christian teachings. Thank you for watching, and may God's eternal love guide you always.